I'm now 53 years old and ended up doing 25 years in the Army. The Army was really good to me. They took me out of college. I went to UW-Madison. I wanted to be a physician, so I got accepted into their medical school. They trained you to be a doctor, and then you owed them 7 years payback. It's the last place I thought I would end up. I decided I really liked cardiology where it was at, so I went on to Brooke Army Medical Center to do my cardiology. But the military really afforded me a lot of neat opportunities. So one, it trained me in being a physician, and then they would send us places and you had to really use your skills but also learn to be flexible and work with the culture of the country you were in, as well as limited supplies. Thailand was probably one of my first exposures to that. I went there for like 2 months for Operation Cobra Gold, which is a joint exercise with Army, Navy, Air Force, and I was stationed inland running a emergency room. Another opportunity I had in the military is to go to Belize and do parasitology, and we would go out to the banana plantations and get samples from the local people to try to isolate some different forms of hepatitis. The other big deployment I had was to go to Iraq for a tour back in 07, 08. I was assigned to the 86th Combat Support Hospital in the Baghdad Green Zone. It used to be Saddam Hussein's old hospital that the military took over. Going into Iraq, that was a totally different country. It was hot. It was very underdeveloped. For the people, for the most part, were very grateful we were there. There was a few bad people in country, the terrorists, the ISIS people that were creating havoc for a lot of the people over there. So we took care of a lot of the soldiers, U.S. and Iraqi soldiers. Also the Iraqi military police would come through our facility. I worked in the ICU as a cardiologist, but I functioned as an intensivist, and my job was really to warm up people, transfuse them, give them fluids and stabilize them so they get to the operating room. But there was also civilian injuries, and those are the ones that really kind of challenged me the most. Again, kids with burns. They had these tea kettles on the floor that would trip or spill, or worse, the terrorists would throw the hot tea kettles on the kids. So they come in with like 30–40% burns. We had a lot of kids that were just injured with IEDs, stepping on them. They would have an amputated limb. So we had to be really creative and make a wheelchair out of a plastic lawn chair and put wheels on it for some of these kids. And we actually provided free orthotics, like building prosthetic limbs for them and stuff in country, because they didn't have that capability in their country. When I came back home after working at Brooke Army Medical Center, they have the Center for the Intrepid there, the Wounded Warrior Program, and you would see all the soldiers walking around or being pushed in wheelchairs by their loved ones and stuff, and it was really hard. My husband would tell the kids, like, don't look at him, don't be scared or sad for him, just realize he's a hero. And like he would give, that guy really gave all for our country. I only played a minor part, just helping them get back to some kind of wellness. I had a very rewarding career in the military. I appreciate all the opportunities that afforded me. I feel like I'm a better person for it. I've seen a lot of different cultures and environments and stuff that most people don't get the chance to practice in. It was a good tour. 25 years. I only needed to stay 7, and I ended up staying 25. I have two daughters. Chelsea was 2 at the time, and Brittany was 5. So my husband, I knew I would be gone for at least 6 months, and it could have been as long as 18. There was really no end to it. You had an open orders. They dropped me off at the airport. That was kind of tearful. My 5-year-old kind of knew what was happening, but my 2-year-old didn't. My husband went and bought them a new boxer puppy to distract them. They left from the airport to get a puppy, and then mom just wasn't there anymore. So he became Mr. Mom. The sacrifices our military families make are huge. Really makes you appreciate single parents and what they do to raise their families. But the holidays, we have pictures with us walking around with silly hats on all over Baghdad, Green Zone, taking photos and stuff. And I try to be festive. You still always knew you were in a deployed environment, though. And when I was in Iraq, felt like I was on hyper alert the whole time. I don't think I really slept for 6 months. Helicopters came in every night, and you'd wake up and have to go to the emergency room and take care of people. We had one little girl that passed away, and we all say that women aren't respected in Iraq and stuff, but this dad wailed when his daughter died. It was the most gut-wrenching cry I've ever heard when he held her and she died. We had a lot of kids with seizures that we couldn't do anything for, and all we could do is tell them that he's sick, just take him home and love him. And they didn't have good seizure medicine, seizure care or anything. And then I think some of the bad resuscitations, we had Marines that were injured and resuscitating them with volumes of blood to try to get them to live, and their whole unit would be there like, what can we do to help? What can we do to help? And I was like, just go to the blood bank and donate some blood, and just to give them something to do so they weren't in the ICU. And then I think the biggest resuscitation we had with some soldier, we gave him like 130 units of blood to try to keep him alive, to get him up to the operating room. And then he'd come back and he got more and more. I've never seen so much blood in our life, like transfusing people. And to know you worked on them that hard and they still didn't make it was really traumatic. So I probably have some PTSD, but it's more what they call provider fatigue. You take care of these people and take care of them, and then you're taking care of them so fast you don't have time to digest it. What the stuff you're seeing and doing, and sometimes you become a little bit immune to it while you're over there. I remember some soldier was injured, and the nurses and I were talking like, is it, you think it's better to lose an arm or a leg? What kind of cavalier conversation is that? Heartless, like, how could we be talking about it? They're just standing back and looking at the conversation, like, why were we even saying that kind of stuff, We had all this training about IEDs and, homemade bombs, and don't walk on, the sewer grates on the street and stuff. Don't walk on that. Well, I still walk around those. I won't walk over sewers or cracks or freshly dug holes, because that could be an IED. It was horrible because the little kids would come in. Churches would send us clothes and teddy bears and toys and stuff for all these kids, and we'd give them a toy or a teddy bear, and they'd leave the green zone to go back to their home village. And the terrorists would see them leaving the green zone with an American-made item, and they would kill them because they received assistance from the Americans. We had lots of moms that wouldn't accept any stuffed animals, and they didn't want our clothes because they didn't want to be perceived as being aided by the Americans. We had amazing statistics. If you made it to the combat support hospital, there's a 97% chance of survival. There's a lot that didn't survive, but that was small compared to the ones we saved. Most of the people were good, but the problem is you don't know who was good and who was bad also. We had Iraq people in our hospital as cleaning people. The interpreters were all Iraqi doctors that got paid better being an interpreter for the U.S. Sometimes you didn't know who your friend was. A few times we would go out and play like wiffle ball in the motor pool area every day at 4 o'clock. And so what happened after 2 weeks of doing that is you're out there playing wiffle ball, and then incoming comes in, and it's incoming mortars, and they would hit far and then would come closer and closer, because someone is in our hospital area sighting them in, telling them, you need to shoot at this time in this location, and you'll get 10 doctors out there playing wiffle ball. So that was insiders in the hospital that was doing that. We had one nurse that was threatened to be kidnapped. She had kind of befriended an Iraqi person, and he went on rounds with us in the ICU. He was there for birthdays and holiday celebrations, but he was actually working with the bad guys and telling them, trying to lure a nurse to be captured and held as a hostage. CIA got wind of it and was monitoring all their discussions and stuff, and actually took her out of the hospital and moved her up to a different location because she was a target for the terrorists. At one point we had a terrorist in one bed who was setting the IED, and it blew his hands off. And in the bed next door we have the kid that would have me nearby that also got injured from this guy. And a lot of anger, didn't really want to take care of him, but we had to. He was there, and we also had to take care of the collateral damage, the kid that innocently got injured. So it's not my job to decide who lives and who dies. It's my job to treat them to the best of my ability, and then let the judicial system do what they needed to do. Being in the military is one of the most rewarding things I ever could have done. I spent basically my whole young adulthood life there. I'm grateful for the opportunity to have served. I feel like I'm a better person for it. I feel like I was able to help a lot of people, and maybe make America not necessarily a safer place, but I felt like I contributed to the military efforts, help some people get home to their families and stuff that otherwise might not have made it.